Hmm. Hi, it's Karina, and welcome to day 7 of Awakening the Goddess 7 Days of Soul Connection. And I thank you so much for joining me. Whether you've done it every day this week, the ritual practice of meditation, yin yoga, and journal writing or journal meditation, whether you've done it all 7 days or you've done it a few of the days, or you're kind of dipping your toe in, you know that it's available to you as something that you can turn to anytime you feel a little disconnected from what it is that you really want. When I was a kid, I learned early on that when I could tell my mom, who had a lot of issues, my mom was a drug addict, alcoholic, and cleaned up when I was about 18 years old, which is why I tend and do a lot of work helping people who are similarly dealing with childhood traumas of varying degrees, and um, finding freedom from fear, since those of us who've endured these kinds of challenges, we know how frightening it was in the past and how much we carry that fear into our lives now. So that's another story for another time. But one of the things that my mom gave me, one of the gifts that she gave me, and she gave me many. And by the way, I wouldn't change anything about my childhood, not one thing. It's been a long road to get to that place of acceptance and actually seeing how that situation served me. But I'm here and I'm grateful, and I've done a lot of work to be here, so I'll own it. I am glad it happened that way. Um, but one of the things that she was amazingly good at was listening to whatever problem I had, whatever worry I had, whatever challenge I had, and really listening to the darkest parts of what I was experiencing, things that I was really even afraid to admit to myself. Um, I could tell her if I cheated on a test, for example, if I was exploring my body sexually. I was able to uncover that with her, and she had this capacity to listen, and I never felt judged. And I noticed that, if I was feeling shame about something, when I would tell her, the shame melted and I felt better and I felt some sense of relief. So, one of the aspects of this practice that I hope you saw, or had insight into, was the power of allowing yourself to be as you are without judgment and really getting honest. When we sit in meditation, for example, and we're just breathing and being with whatever's arising, which is the first part of the being and becoming meditation that we've been doing as part of this 7-day adventure or ritual practice, whatever you want to call it. The first step is always acknowledging and meeting ourselves where we are, with this attitude of, I'm okay. This is actually an okay. Not only is this experience that is arising okay, it's right. Whatever experience you're having right now as you're listening to this is right. It's the right one to be having. Then we can relax a little bit. It's amazing how that happens. We think we have to change it. As a matter of fact, we go often straight from A to B, or I should say A to C, and we skip over B. We skip over this essential aspect of just acknowledging where we are, sensing the rightness and the okayness of it, even when it's uncomfortable, even if it feels awful. Okay? We have to do that step before we can move on to step to C, which is this process of becoming, where we're tapping into the longings of the heart and we're asking the heart, what is it that you long for? And the heart will tell us. And I'm so proud of so many of you who have shared with me all you've uncovered by doing this simple practice of listening to your wisdom heart. The heart has wisdom. You can imagine the symbol of the heart with the lock and the key. I love archetypes and symbols and myth for this reason, because it points to some direct aspect of ourselves, like some truth about the miraculous beings that we are, and points to, you know, the necessity, the longing that we all have to turn towards our hearts. This heart that we have, not someone else's, ours. And so the becoming piece of this practice is like, first of all, what is my heart longing for? And then how? How do I bridge the gap, so to speak? How do I bring that quality of, say, ease or peace or joy or inspiration or connection or belonging or whatever it is for you? Some of you, I love your words. I've come up with some beautiful words to describe this longing of the heart. How do we bring that into what is often messy in our life? When we can begin to do that, then this connection to our very life that we're living, the importance of this connection becomes much more clear. Rather than trying to fix or get out of the life that we have so that we can realize some perfect life in the future where our problems, don't really exist because we really want to be at ease and at peace. No, no, that's not the way, right? And if you've ever done that, many of us have, we know that we might change circumstances, but the same stuff, the same BS, the same fill in the blank, it keeps coming up. The faces may be different, the people may be different, but the things are still coming up for a reason, so that we can work through them and heal from them, with them, through them. As Mary O'Malley says, what's in the way is the way. I had to change up Arthur, my son's schedule this morning, and told him about it. And I knew, knowing who he is, that he would have a really hard time with that. And he was very upset, crying, and I dropped him off at school, and he was crying at school. And if you're a mommy, you know how hard it is when you're dropping your kid off at school and they're crying. And, I did, I know he's fine. I have no doubt that he's fine now. And I know that this is helping him as I was with him through this process, but allowed him to go through it, let him experience the upset of having his day, not the way that he had planned, because this is an essential aspect of being a human being, is being able to be resourceful and learn from these experiences. So I know he's learning something in this process too. It was hard for me. And so I left. And I took some time after to just really feel into what I was feeling. And I had some tears around it, some feelings of sadness. And then I put my hand on my heart and I offered myself some ease. How may I be at ease with this situation? May I find some ease? And I sensed ease kind of wrapping itself around this difficulty, me and Arthur and the crying and the tears, and just, may we be at ease. And then I offered it to him. I imagined him in that moment. May he be at ease. And then I felt a little shifting happen within myself. Enough that I was able, to come and actually grow from the experience. So I'm really hoping and looking forward to hearing how this practice has impacted you. And do please know, and I've heard from some of you, that the practice has brought up some stuff, as it should, because what's in the way needs to be seen so that we can see how it can become part of the way. Often it's how we're relating to our basic human feelings that keeps us from being able to feel them. So many of you, are feeling some fear, some anxiousness. Because when we listen to the heart and we begin to feel into the heart, we become willing to listen. Something we've been longing to do our whole life. Our heart's just been calling to us. When we begin to do that, whatever we've been kind of judging as wrong, judging as not being okay, judging whatever that's already within us, that's been kind of held up and bound up in the body mind, when it begins to arise, fear almost simultaneously arises with it. Fear being kind of the gatekeeper, the protector, keeping us from experiencing what it believes isn't okay for us to experience. But we're feeling the fear and it's uncomfortable. So I just want to make space for some of you who are experiencing that, to say that that's actually a natural part of this process. And navigating fear is a important part of your journey. Learning how to be with fear, learning how to really relate to it differently than you probably are. Many of us have been told for a really long time that fear is wrong. Everyone tells us that, actually, mostly everyone. A lot of spiritual practices about bypassing fear. And so, some of us are walking around these spiritual beings with this hum and buzz of anxiety in the background, so that we're not quite ever feeling like we really fit in or we really belong, and the connection that we're longing for isn't really happening. This is a complex thing that happens, and it's also a really important part of your growth and your process. And I want you to know that if this is something that you are finding to be difficult or challenging, please connect with me. I do a free session. I work with people all the time, just like you, that are going through similar things, especially if you've had trauma in your past, similar to what I shared about what I've grown up with. It's quite natural and normal that this will happen. And so I offer, my first session is free. So please reach out to me, and I can help you navigate. Often what wounding that happened in a relationship needs to be healed in a relationship, and not just through the head, but we have to really be able to listen and unlock the wisdom of the heart. So I just want to say that as an aside, that's an option for you. Email me, respond. You can reply to this email and let me know, and I'd be happy to set something up with you. So with that, many others of you have enjoyed very much, although you got to feel some stuff, right? But have shared with me how much connection and how you've been learning to, as I call it, decode a little bit of the language of the body. And when we decode the language of the body, we not only help to free ourselves from fear, but we are able to open up to the wealth of experience and feeling that have been kind of beneath the surface of our being, that have just been waiting to arise, so that we can integrate them and become even more who we are in our beauty and our vibrance and our magnificence. That is you. That is you. So I hope you all have a beautiful and wonderful day. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. And take good care. Many, many blessings and much love. Namaste.